Hello. I'm so excited today because remember those pots that I've been working on, specifically the tentacle pot? I have it. I have it done. It's fired. And today I graduated to studio status where I'm not actually taking a class anymore, though still definitely learning. But now I have a shelf in the studio and I can come in kind of on my own schedule and produce things at my leisure, which is kind of good because like there's times the class is only 3 hours every Monday, and I felt pinched and like rushed many times because I really wanted to spend a little more time. But without any further ado, actually, I'm going to have a little bit of ado, just in case you are not familiar with the tentacle pot. I'm going to do a little background and show kind of like, because I guess this is my studio graduation in pottery. I'm going to show a few like progression pieces. So when I first started, I have all these things down here. This was one of the first pieces I made. And it is a mortar and pestle, and I was super proud of it. Really loved it. I use this all the time. If you look behind me, in those little bottles down there, some of those are eggshells and other things like that that I gather up and I use with this. So that was one of the first things I made, and I was really happy with it because it was useful, something I actually needed. Here's a couple other pieces that I made. This was one of my first pots, and you can see it's very wonky there. And I almost crushed it up because, it doesn't look like a pot. But it was actually the instructor, Becca, that said, don't crush it up. You might wind up liking it later. And also, you need to practice, with glazing and stuff. But this is actually one of my favorite pieces. And I don't know why. I really like the non-conform. Ew, it was full of dust. Gross. Anyways, I like the nonconformist kind of, and I love the feel of it. I think that's what I love about pottery is touching it. So, but yeah, so this wonky little thing looks full of dust and dog hair or something. And then those were thrown on the wheel. Except the wonky one was originally thrown, but then I made it all wonky and like stuck my fingers in it and, Oh, and this piece. So one of the reasons why this piece is significant is because I experimented with double dipping the glazes, which is how I got the purple and blue effect there. Otherwise, not very remarkable. Then I started hand building, and I made these two, in my opinion, hideous mugs. I hate these mugs. I don't know what it is about them. Maybe the white color, maybe that icky pastel green around the top seemed like a good idea at the time. I think part of it is that the dark clay contrast and it just gross bottom. Ugh, I hate these mugs. But anyways, the useful thing about these mugs was I got to experiment with texture. And you can see that these are hopefully you can see that, very textured. And that's pretty much, and I learned how to hand build. So then the very next thing I did, now I'm going to show you a picture. The very next thing I did after those mugs was this piece. Oops, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. This piece, so you can see, and that's Amy back there, Hypnus and Outrage. But I decided I needed a planter, and I had this idea, this vision, that I could make this planter and of a city, but the plants would come spilling out of it like they're taking over the city. So I will show you how that turned out. I really wanted more time to work on this piece because I really wanted to do a lot of texture and stuff. But unfortunately, I started this right before heading to StokerCon and like lots of chaos. Didn't really have time to do much. But, and then it cracked down the middle. So it was almost a loss. I don't know if you can really see this crack right there. But I liked the crack, honestly, because I said the point of this piece is I'm putting plants in it, and they're taking over the city. They're like disintegrating the city. So the crack actually, I think, kind of works. So, but this also was me practicing with, you can really see it in the back, spray glazing. So I applied this glaze not by dipping, but by spraying with a gun. So, but yeah, and then I will be putting a plant in here. I have many, but yes, I like how this piece turned out. But it's like a meh piece. I really would have liked time to do more texture work and actually carve like little doorways and windows and Easter eggs and surprises in it. But it is what it is. It's done. It'll hold a plant. So then let's see. Let me get over here. So excited. I really love how this turned out. So excuse me for drawing this out a little bit. Here is what it looked like right when I made it. This was the day I made this pot. Come check this. Come check this. So you can tell I was a little bit excited. Also, I really like that song. So that's what that looked like. And then I fired it, which was here. So now that's a solid piece. Still no color. Then I went and I applied the color. This is me in the spray booth.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty. It's just a thing of beauty.
Okay, now it's almost time for you to see how that turned out. One of the things that I thought was really cool is the color of me spraying on there. That's just a filter. But the actual pot turned out very much like that filter. So without further ado, this is how that pot turned out. I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with it because I love to touch things with my fingers, and there is so much texture on this pot. And I love the cute little tentacles. They're so adorable and tickly. They just want to tickle you and pull you down into the abyss and suck your brains out. So cute. And I've decided I'm very much a fan of hand building because I can just, with building on the wheel, I am forcing the clay to submit to me, and I don't like that. I like everything to have freedom. So hand building is kind of like me listening to what the clay wants me to do. Becca's really good, who's my instructor. She kind of has all this stuff about listening to the clay and the particles and everything. And I don't think I get that, but I definitely get the clay talking to me part, telling me what it wants to be. Because the piece I made tonight is nothing like what I thought it was going to be. So, but yeah. And then there's a texture inside. I don't know if you can really see the texture inside a little bit, but it's kind of a scarred up texture on the inside of the pot. And then one of the things that I thought was, I really enjoyed, when I built this, it had like a little crack here on the edge. You know, of course, this is just brown clay sitting upright. And then it had a little bit of a crack, probably about the same size as this one, honestly, up here. So what I was originally going to do is cut it off, you know, because you don't want the crack, right? But then I kept looking at the crack and I really just loved how it turned out. So I put a tentacle in it, as you can see right there. It's hard to see in here. So I put a little tentacle in it, like the tentacle made the crack. and I bent it all over. And so I really did a lot more of that here on this side. The tentacle is like tearing this pot apart. And I don't know why I always have to put violence into everything, but I just like the idea of deconstructing something, something being destroyed, and I don't know, it's beautiful when it's destroyed because that's the last vision you're going to see of it like that, and it becomes something else. So no, I'm not going to destroy this. I'm going to put a plant in it. But then I had 2 other pots. These are just me playing around with glazes, so not like a big deal, but these were pots that I did on the wheel. And again, you can see that I really have that dislike of the symmetrical. I'm just going with it at this point. I really don't like the symmetrical perfection thing. I really like to let the clay be a bit warped and kind of crazy. Probably I might be a little bit warped and crazy. So, but yeah, so that's how that one turned out. I really like these too, honestly. And this one too, really, really dig that color blocking thing that I did there. So, but yeah, pretty dang happy. I feel like I've graduated. I guess I did kind of graduate to studio. And so now the piece I'm working on, look at my Instagram. I'll share it on my Instagram tonight. Well, I'll share it on my Instagram probably tomorrow or maybe in a slideshow or something, because it's brown so far and it's a mountain. And I don't know, it's not really going where I wanted it to go. I'm making it for a friend by request, and it was supposed to have aspen leaves and a moose, and they didn't happen. Instead, I've got what Ryan says looks like, Ayers Rock or Uluru, the big giant mountain rock in Australia. I know technically, I mean, it's supposed to be Uluru, but I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. But everybody used to know it as Ayers Rock. But yeah, he says it looks like that. So maybe it'll be an Australian piece. Who knows? But I will share that picture on my social media, probably Instagram at some point, maybe tomorrow. But I'm really excited because next week I have this big trip coming up for the Writers Police Academy. And then after that, though, I can like go in the studio and I can sit for as long as I want and work on a couple of these pots. Oh, so the reveal, the thing that I was going to share, like my ulterior plan here with these pots. A while back, well, because you know that I've been studying magic, and I don't mean like, David Copperfield. I mean the actual metaphysical, magus magic for a while now. And sometime in the summer, I was walking around and I was pondering elements, earth, fire, wind, the whole, uh, earth bending and water bending and all that kind of thing, but just the elements. And I was thinking how good it would be, or how powerful, and I'm sure these are not new thoughts. These are my thoughts, my slow meandering thoughts on this kind of stuff. But I was like, really what I would like to do is take the 4 elements, including the 5th element, which is spirit, and bring them together somehow in like an amulet of power or something. How could you combine these elements and make them fantastic? And that would be the best like altar. And then it hit me. We were actually I was on a walk with my son, my adult son. I only have adult sons. I don't know why I specified that. But then it hit me that a plant is the perfect melding of the elements, because you have earth, you have water, plants need water, you have air because they produce air, you have the fire, which is the sun, they need the sun to survive, and also spirit because they're alive. And now we know that plants actually have emotions and they communicate, and some mushrooms, they found out, have the same language skills as a toddler with communication, which is pretty amazing. You would need a toddler, would you? Pretty soon we're not going to be able to eat anything. But so anyways, so a plant. And then I was like, I think that was before I actually even did pottery, and I didn't know that the pottery studio was so close to me. Um, but anyways, I was like, wow, that would be like the perfect thing. If only I could create an altar, but with the plant as the focal point, which kind of makes sense because the Yuta, which is the Okinawan or Shimanshu mediums, or probably like a Western, like Western culture kind of thinks of that. They could be witches. You could say that they are the Shimanshu version of a witch, or but more accurately a shaman or shamans. Anyway, semantics. Um, they are really particular about groves, like groves of trees and holy trees and things like that as part of that whole ritual magic kind of thing. So maybe it's genetic that I really love. I kill a lot of plants. This is like not me saying I'm a great plant person, but I do always have plants. Usually they're spider plants and ivy and very hardy things. I have a Christmas cactus right now that's been doing really well. But I'm digressing now. So anyways, that is my thought is I want to start making these massive pots, but for altars, altar pots. And so it would have the place for the incense built in. So you could, and the incense would fall into the plant, which I had looked up is fine. You know, you don't want to overdo it. And you do want to use good, healthy incense, like natural incense. But yeah, so basically this would be the altar. So I think what I need to do is make it a little bit longer this way, or maybe have like something on the sides for the incense to really go over, because if the plant is bushy, you don't want the incense on obviously lighting the plant on fire. So I feel like I have ink or probably pottery dust or something on my face, or maybe that pot that just dumped dust all over me put dust on my face. But anyways, yeah, so that is my ideas. I'm going to start making these altar pots. And so I've been really, really excited to be able to spend a little more time in the studio when it's a bit more convenient for me so that I can make this stuff. So what am I going to do with my altar pots? I have no idea. I just want to make them. But I think definitely some are going to have tentacles. But that is it. I have spent 17 minutes of your time talking about this. I super appreciate it. Look at the texture there. I love touching this thing. Okay. Anyways, I will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be SPOFest. SPOFest writing prompt, rough draft, and open mic. So I'll be doing that from 6 to 8. And I will come on here after I do that. And then I can fill you in on how it was. But I'm going to set that show up now. So if you want the link to SPOFest and even participate, that link will be in tomorrow's show on YouTube or whatever. So look in the descriptions of tomorrow's show. You can find it in upcoming things. I'm going to go schedule that right now, so I don't have to worry about it tomorrow. And yeah, that's going to be really fun. I'm excited to see what SPOFest is like, and I'm going to do some impromptu storytelling. So that'll be fun. And I'm going to get rid of this squeaky darn chair that I have right now because it's been driving me crazy all weekend long. But that is it from me for now. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you thought the pots were cool, but I think the pots are cool and I'm making them kind of for me. So we're all good. And yeah, that's it. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.